All right, so the website I want to talk about now is polleverywhere.com. And I want my students to be able to respond anonymously to a few things. In the past, when I've asked them to do things like raise their hand on what they feel or think, or to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, I see their eyes moving around the room, and I've seen votes change based upon what their peers think, and that's not really what I want. And so, what I've decided that I want to use this for is um, I have some questions about some of the texts that we're going to be using or that we have used for Unit 1. And when I moved up to 8th grade this year, there were several texts that were left for me to work with Unit 1, and only one of them is a non-negotiable, and that is The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. Now, the two that I sort of wonder about are the Hitchhiker by Lucille Fletcher and The Monkey's Paw by W. W. Jacobs. And I want to give the students the opportunity to tell me what they think. Do these texts really fit into that unit? And so I'm going to use this as a device to help me to decide that. And what that'll help me with in the ISTE standards is that it's going to help us to manage the use of technology and student learning strategies and digital platforms, virtual environments, and hands-on makerspaces are in the field, and that's 6B in the facilitator, and as well as in the analyst, 7A is going to provide alternative ways for students to demonstrate competency and reflect on their learning using technology. So with that in mind, when we first go to www.polleverywhere.com, we're going to be shown this Get Started button. Of course, that's what we're going to select because we want to get started. And we'll be asked to decide whether we're participating or we're presenting. And since we're going to be making this, we're going to be presenting. So you'll put your, you're going to have to create an account first. You'll put your first name, last name, an email, your password. You do not have to put your phone number. I did not put my phone number, and it allowed me to go right through. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go back and log in really fast. So give me just a second. Okay, so now that I'm logged in, I will see the page that looks like this, and I have participants and reports up here. These are paid features. Of course, I can always do my pricing and upgrades and so on and so forth, and this will be my username here. What I'm most interested in is that I'm going to create a poll. So I'll come up here to the upper left-hand corner and hit Create. And Create gives me a number of options. I can have multiple choice, a word cloud, question answer, anything up to a bulletin board or a news ticker. But what I want to work with right now is this multiple choice feature. So I'm going to click that. And when I've clicked that, I'm going to be able to put in my question, which is, I'm going to make it very simple. Does this fit? And I'm going to say yes, no, and then I would select create. And once I've done that, it'll send me back to this screen right here. And that's where I'm going to select my poll. So in this case, I'm going to select this one, and I will double click on the name that I've given it. Do these stories fit in Unit 1? And it will take me to this screen right here. Now, if we look over here to the right, we can see that we can configure our poll. We can ask it, do we want all of our questions on a single page or separate pages? Do we want people to be able to respond multiple times? Do we want them to be anonymous, which I do, so I've selected that one. I can go over here and test it, which means that I can have a simulation, kind of see what's going on. And then I can look and see how I want to present, which is got a couple of cool features, like I could embed this into my PowerPoint, or I could just present this straight from the web, which is what I'm going to show you here. And then also how I'm going to share it. There's a couple of different ways I could share it. I can share it through the web or through, let's see, I'm sorry. No, that's a different thing. I can have them respond through the web or through like a mobile phone. This shows you the various links. So with this one, I'm going to copy this personally and put this into my Schoology, and then my students will be able to just click on the link and go to this right here. So then once I've got everything set the way I want it to, I can come over here and come to presentation view, and this is what people we'll be able to see. So if I want to make it full screen, I can click the full screen button. Oops, click the full screen button, and that'll show this. And then it says that I've done one survey. I did that earlier, so that we can kind of see that I, of course, think that it's definitely manipulating the truth for the monkey's paw, and I think that it's clear who is manipulating the truth in the hitchhiker. So I definitely think these should be used next year. Um, but you can see that there's a couple of different ways. I will never have students responding to it in text because we don't have cell phones at our school. But then once I've gotten that finished, I can also use, when I go back to the polls right here, I can then, if I select the one that I created here and then select down, which will show me the two questions that I built, I can see my responses here. I have one response. If I click on that, it'll show me what my responses were, and it shows that I had one for the yes. And, of course, if I had 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, it would show that. And if I had 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 in the no, it would show that as well. So that gives me a pretty clear view. So polleverywhere.com, I think, is going to be a pretty handy tool to use. I think it would be a great tool to use as like a starter. First thing that they come in, they see something, they just open up their computers, they click on the link, and they respond to that question, and it would take no time at all for me to get some data on what they think. Maybe it could be like maybe a little bit of a pre-test. There's a lot of ways that we could use this, and I am super excited and figuring out how I am going to use it as well. So that is polleverywhere.com, and I am excited to use it.